Hello everyone, welcome to the second video for Arsenal LCG. Let's get started. In this video we'll be going over two very simple things: the different layouts for packs as well as fighter cards. So I guess the question that may be on everybody's hands is, what does it mean when I say choose your weapon? At this coming convention, you'll be presented with 3 separate packs whenever you decide to choose your weapon. These 3 separate packs will determine your fighter as well as your primary weapon. You have that option between sword packs, staff packs, or axe packs. In this case, we're going to choose the axe pack and see what our deck will become. So let's open up our pack. The contents are always the same in Arsenal LCG, hence the name Living Card Game. The contents of an axe pack will be as follows in every single pack. The contents shown here display your 5 different bronze cards in their different variations and quantity. You'll receive 4 copies of Hatchet, as well as 2 copies of Great Axe, 2 copies of Winged Cleaver, 2 copies of Wicked Crescent, 2 copies of Steel Axe. This consists of all your bronze cards, and the different numbers for spirit numbers will change as variables on each of the cards, but the contents are guaranteed. You'll also receive 1 of each copy of the silver cards, containing Phantom Edge, Headsman's Axe, and Devil's Edge. And finally, you'll receive the 2 different gold cards, 1 apiece, and your 1 platinum card in the form of Forsete, Labris, and Pangu. Each of these cards, again, is guaranteed. Finally, there will be a foil card as well as your fighter card, and the fighter will have a different variation in each pack. Up to 3 different fighters could appear in any axe pack. So in this case, we've received Zadrill. Earlier I mentioned foils. There is a foil card in every single pack of Arsenal LCG, and each foil could be any variation on any of the weapon cards. This means that even if you received a Hatchet that did not have the number 1 as a spirit number, you may receive a Hatchet card in foil with the number 1 as the spirit number. These foils are options and are not necessary for a player to use in their deck. However, you do have the option to change any card in your pile for a different card from your foil section when you are constructing your deck. Your final deck total will be 50 cards with 1 fighter, and the reserving 4 cards can either be foils or cards removed to make room for the foils. But let's go over a fighter card. The fighter's name is listed at the top of the card. The weapon wheel is listed on the left-hand side of the card. This identifies the 4 different weapon specialties that your fighter has, meaning that these will determine the remaining 3 packs needed to construct Zadrill's deck. On the right-hand side, you have the hit points, and at the bottom, you have the 3 listed abilities for your fighter. Not all abilities are unique. However, your fighter will have 3 abilities that will be different on each fighter card. One more point on the weapon wheel is that the colors clearly determine what type of card you are supposed to take in terms of the next type of pack. In the case of Zadrill, we need Marshal, Heals, and Drivers, as they are the light green, white, and blue packs respectively. So now we choose our secondary weapon. As stated before, Zadrill uses Marshals. Then we choose our technique card, which consist of healing for Zadrill. And finally, our ender cards, which for Zadrill is the driver. Each of these packs put together, minus their foil cards or with their foil cards with the cards substituted, will result in a completed deck. You can shuffle this deck and play right away. The decks are designed to do that. But let's meet the rest of the fighters, shall we? There are 3 primary fighters for each of the primary weapons. So, for sword fighters, we have Rosnoy, Tagore, and Tofris. You'll also notice that there is no overlap in terms of their weapon wheels. This means that every single box will contain all 9 fighters, in addition to 9 playable decks in each box's contents of 36 packs. 3 of each different type of card pack will be included in each box for a total of 36 packs. Next, we have our staff fighters. The staff fighters consist of Surette, Vraer, and Canes. And then the axe fighters. We have Zadril, that we saw before, as well as Navanis and Hedta. But let's get to know our fighters a little bit more. As stated, each fighter will have 3 unique abilities, and they all have a subname. In the case of Rosnoy, he is the Winged Blade. Rosnoy uses swords, shields, healing, and drivers. With 40 HP, he has lower HP than average. However, he is designed to heal himself in the thick of battle. His 3 abilities consist of Bulwark, Sharpened, and Mimic. Tagore is our next fighter and uses swords, gauntlets, gems, and finishers. And he is known as the Bayou Berserker. He has Memory, as well as Warcry and Vital Spirit, a powerful ability that allows him to heal despite not having healing abilities. Next we have Tofris, the Spirit's Edge. Tofris uses swords, martial arts, as well as charging and flurries to attack. And while he has incredible power in terms of his Berserker ability, it leaves him defenseless on the following turn. With Nature's Gift and Brandish, he should be able to compete very well. To start our staff fighters, we have Surette, the Canopy King. He utilizes staves, gauntlets, healing, and drivers. And he is very capable of blocking, as well as making sure to land those spirit combos with constant hand cycling and capabilities. Next we have Vraer, known as the Fool's Fool. He utilizes staves, martials, gems, and finishers, and has the ability to stop his opponents mid-combat if his spirit numbers line up. In addition to that, he has expertise to deal extra damage, and Oath of Blood to harm himself, to put himself at an advantage. Next we have Canes, the Serpent of Wisdom. She utilizes staves as well as shields, charges, and flurries, and has the first listed ability that costs 0 charge. However, for her to use this, she has to harm herself, and she can only use it 1 time in a combat. But with her life drain ability, she should easily be able to recover the damage that she suffers. With Warcry, she can also increase the damage that she deals. Next we have our fighter from before, Zadril, the Prince of the Sand. He utilizes axes, martial, heal, and drivers. And with his Bulwark, Cunning, and Warrior Soul ability, he's not only able to strike hard with axes, but defend himself well. Next we have Navanis, the Plains Shaker. He uses axes, shields, gems, and finishers, and with Memory can recoup cards from the discard pile, hit harder with more powerful cards with expertise, and annihilate opponents' defenses with Death Blow. And our final fighter is Hedta, the Shadow of the Skies. Heta utilizes axes, gauntlets, charges, and flurries, and with his incredibly aggressive playstyle, he relies on nature's gift to keep himself alive. With Spirit Charging, he can use his abilities faster, and Pact of Shadow allows him to completely manipulate his hand to a degree that other fighters don't have the luxury of. Each ability lists on it the timing for when it can be used, so let's go over when using abilities is allowed. In our previous example video, I showed the game board and said we would get to fighters later. So when you set up your deck, you also set your fighter card to the left-hand side of the playfield. This is an example of how an ability is used. Tagore has access to something called Memory for 2 charge. The card in his hand is Euphoric Rhythm, and Euphoric Rhythm costs 7 charge in order to utilize. Unfortunately, Tagore only has 5 charge in the charge zone. That means he is unable to use Euphoric Rhythm. However, because he has a Swordbreaker in the charge zone, he is now able to do one of his abilities. By using 2 charge, he's able to place Swordbreaker in the discard pile. Using Memory allows him to discard Euphoric Rhythm to then add Swordbreaker from the discard pile to the hand. This gives him a different option during the next combat phase, and this must be done before combat. This is an example of how timing works whenever it comes to abilities. The costs are paid prior to anything resolving for the ability in terms of the charge. And furthermore, your character is able to use abilities so long as they can afford them. In this situation, Tagore was able to trade a card that was unplayable for a card that was playable, essentially from the charge zone. I hope that this example shows you how timing of different abilities resolution is resolved. There are also distinct words listed on abilities, such as before combat, after combat, during combat, as well as on your turn and on your opponent's turn. These listed timings are when the ability is usable and not at any other time. I hope that this video was helpful and will allow you to get a more in-depth look on how to choose your weapon. I look forward to seeing everybody at the launch, and I can't wait for everyone to be able to choose their weapon. Have a good rest of the day.